We're waiting on Aaron. And I will also text Adam for now. Okay, okay. Great. I guess we
Perfect.
can start, Bonita.
So of course, probably some people are here like randomly because they saw something. So I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Uh, we are going to have a Psychology Thursday, which is an event that we at the beginning had in smaller group, but we had idea to share with you. And I'm going to be talking today. I'm a psychotherapist in training, and I do emotional education and all of those stuff. And even though I kind of think that it's not that obvious in in trading, although everybody are talking about emotions and we have fear and greed index. There is not so much insightful information really about how to deal with things. So I just invite you to, I don't know how much it will take, but I think it's going to be 45 minutes and hopefully interactive talk about fear, because market is dumping. So why not to talk about fear if we are fearful? My idea is that we should talk about fear right now. So I'm going just to just set up it so I see a bit more. Mm, so I'm going to just buy the fear. Yeah, buying the fear is one thing unless you are fearful. So so that's sort of things. And so today, my hope is to actually unpack some things. So I'm going to try to help you understand how fear works, not just as a word that everybody are repeating, but how does it impact you, how to actually use it, how to manage it, and how to kind of treat it as an ally more than something that should be suppressed. So this is what we are going to talk, and I'm going to walk you through everything, and then at the end we can have some sort of discussion. I'm going to ask you questions in the middle of the talk. If you want, you can participate. I invite you to do that. So are you are is it interesting for you? Just let me know in the chat, because I can imagine some people were like, what's going what's going on? So let me know if the fear is something you actually you can find useful to know more about, because I think that there is not really a person who have never been fearful in trading. So I need therapy on Thursday. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let us just start. I have, because I'm very digressive, I'm trying to just watch some of my notes because I want to have the structures, because otherwise we will going to have what we have usually. So it's like huge sharing and talking, which is awesome, but not very structured. Okay, so basically there are things that are obvious. We are dealing with money, and we are dealing with some of the risk. We are dealing with consequences of our actions. So like fuck around and find out vibes. And because of this, we will usually have some mistakes, and we will usually have the things going not our way, and then we will get stressed or tense. This shouldn't be that much, but there are moments when we actually fear, and this is different than just a bit of scare, right? And probably most of you see the difference between like, I'm concerned, and like I'm in full on panic mode, right? um I'm thinking, no, yeah, no, let's because I wanted to ask you how often do you feel in panic mode, but let's not dig into that yet. So basically, as you can imagine, this is obvious probably, but if you are in the fear, you are, I don't know, panic selling, you can avoid risk, so you cannot go into the trade, because this is not that obvious one, right? But because when you are fear, you are not going into the trade. You can also hold the position longer because you are just fearful of closing them. You can close them too early because you are scared of losing the gains, or you can close them too late. Like all of those things that we would call stupid or irrational, they are not really that stupid or irrational in that moment, because usually when we are in fear, what we do seems logical for us, right? So we do it to ease the stress we have, right? You probably know this, that like some kind of, you start thinking about some decision, like I should close this trade in loss, I should panic sell, should I panic sell, I don't know. And then you do it, you feel some sort of relief afterwards, and then it comes to you that this was a stupid decision, and the double trouble happened because you have fear about fear about fear, and it's a nightmare. Who had that, by the way? If you had that, just like show me in any way. I don't know if you can have reactions here, but you can put it on chat as well. Because if there is someone who never felt fear here, I also want to know. Did you have it, like this mind spinning sort of swirly thing that makes like like this decision is good one? Never. Okay, we have first person. So let's say that we all talk theoretically and we never feel here. Okay, we are fear. What the fuck with those words? Okay, so so I'm going to talk with you that actually the fear is quite useful, although it's not pleasurable. Like every emotions we have. Uh, are you familiar with like basic emotions we have? I mean, of course you are familiar, but do you know which one of those are like basics? We have joy, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear. Okay, so the fear, yeah, joy, anger. Oh my god, I have people who knows the things. Yeah, yeah, joy, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear. And fear is there, and it's there for a reason, actually. I think we will have a psychology Thursday about joy. I promise. But fear, today we are talking about fear, so I'm going to focus on this one. It is very important because it's out. No, it's actually not. I would like it to be emotion, but not. So fear is useful because it protect us from danger, right? This is the emotion that is supposed to make us like tunnel vision, very focused, very often with a lot of energy build up. So we are like activated. We are very focused. We are very sort of I would say condensed in the way like we don't see much in the fear. I don't know if you've noticed, but when you are fearful in any way, you kind of like you don't see much. You see just one thing. And the idea behind that is that we actually can run or fight or flight. So well, sorry, fight, flight or freeze. So we this is when we are, I don't know, chased by a tiger. And it comes from very basic part in our brain. I don't want to get too nerdy, although I'm nerdy as fuck, but not going to go that much into nerdy things. But it's basically we have two systems in our brain, and one of them is like rational, slow, logical, and it's like problem solving kind of a thing. And the other also problem solves, but in kind of more emotional, fast, more instinctive way, and it's very often called reptilian brain. I don't know if you've ever have you ever heard that name? It's sort of like reptilian brain kind of thing, if it rings a bell. Yeah, no, okay. So reptilian brain is our amygdala, so it's like part of our brain that is very very small in the back of our brain. So it's like, if we have a brain as a hand, it would be the thing that is like really in the middle, and we have it in common with reptiles. It's like very 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 basic. It's not like other animals that don't have it, but it's very basic, right? So it's kind of flashes and gives us those like animal kind of urges. And fear actually activate this one. By the way, if you are a person who is from, I don't want to go too much into the therapy area, but if you are the person who is concerned very often or ready for attack very often, it might be that this part of brain is like it have learned to be activated very often. So you kind of anticipate a risk, right? So in trading, when we go into those states that I'm going to explain more a bit later on, mm, we kind of become animal, right? We want to act. So this is like a fight response, and acting would be like counter trade. It would be revenge trading. It would be closing my positions, panic selling. So I want to do or I want to flight, so I want to run away, like fuck this, I'm not going to do it anymore, I'm running away from this, like closing the positions could be also running away, right? So I'm trying to run, or I'm freezing, like the shutdown of the system. And these are the moments when people are absolutely shut down. And this is actually very draining for our organism, by the way, but it comes from this very primal instinct of survival. And basically I found some and the question is, how can we balance those emotions, right? So this very big sort of energy emotions, and think rationally in high pressure situations, because trading is high pressure situation. It's usually time sensitive. You need to be all the time activated. So of course you can be trader who takes breaks and all this stuff, but usually you are kind of like connected with this. So it's a high pressure environment, and in this high pressure environment there are swings, and there are like things that is hard to um, just they surprise you from time to time. And there's also another thing that I found some research that I cannot remember right now, but we remember losses much more than we remember wins. And we also feel losses of money almost like a physical threat. I don't know if it's familiar for you, but when you lose a trade, there is something in it that you almost feel it like a threat. You remember your wins more. This is good. This is actually good for you that you remember your wins more. But you don't have to be dumb. Maybe you are just like got used to, or I don't know. We can make your own case at the end, but uh, very often, like I don't. Oh, by the way, if you don't, if it's hard for you to reflect on yourself in trading, you can also reflect yourself in any other situation like work, or I don't know, love life. Doesn't matter. Like the thing that are threatening and the thing that are hurtful, they are very often more present, because at the end of the day, like our organism is trying to not be eaten by a tiger before it's going to be, amazed by some art. Although I love art myself, we need to feel safe before we go further. So the safety is very basic, and the trading is very tricky because it really triggers those primal things, and it really triggers the primal emotions, including fear. So the question is, how do we actually deal? Oh yeah, this in my notes, it said that it's losing money is twice as intense as the pleasure of winning. And so it's also interesting because I don't know, we can talk about it later on, but like, how do you actually make your wins or losses um influence your real life? Like, okay, when I win, I buy myself something. When I lose, what do I do? Right? Do I calm myself? Do I beat myself up? Do I call for a friend? So how, this is also a good question. How does your unpleasant experiences manifest in your actual life? Do you talk with someone about it, or do you just always stay alone? So let's if you are curious, I'm inviting you right now to remember the last situation when you felt this like mm, fear, scared, losing sort of energy that is really big, and you feel like acting on it. And what do you usually do? Because this is going to be something that we're going to use later on. So what do you do? Do you tend to stay with it? Do you tend to fight, like revenge trade? Avoid, yeah, okay. How do you avoid? Are you trying to make yourself busy with other tasks, or what's your strategy, like the strategy you are actually using? Suppressed thoughts, yeah. So I'm not feeling this, no, I'm not feeling this, yeah, okay. And this is, I'm very happy you are saying this, because this is basically another try to do something else, okay, yeah. I don't know about anything. Oh no, just give me a second to read that. I don't know, and let it happen. This is actually, let it happen. So let yourself fear the feel. Oh my, it's so hard to say. Yeah, this is not bad strategy at all. uh no, actually it's learning. Someone said, the dog we've had said that it's not learning. It is. Okay. So so the thing is that how, well, basically, because I work with Gestalt school, so I work with some like the thing that I believe the most. So it means I think it's working. It's basically about three stages that you just awareness, acceptance, and experimentation. And I'm going to just walk you through that. And I see that some of the people here are aware of their fear, which is good one, and accepting the fear, which is also a good one. Because the thing is that you are like, now I'm going to get really, activist right here, but in in the environment of traders, um, we have some sort of it's really about influencers, and it's really about, very often it's about, you know, dislikes and the persona you have in your mind, like social media of trading culture is really full of people that are saying don't trade with emotions or just be emotionless. And I think that this is more like creating this, you know, fake persona of some trader that is like really robotic and just do very it's like an AI robot and doesn't feel anything. And believe me, when I say to you that most of the people that are going to coach you on that, they were the people who were feeling fear, and from time to time they also feel joy and stuff, because every person feels. So the thing is that this language we are creating of like being emotionless is tricky, and I think it's double-edged swords, because yes, you need to deal with your emotions before making impulsive stupid decisions, but it doesn't mean that you don't have those emotions or you can really detach from them. Although it sounds awesome and it sounds like it's something possible, but I can tell you from my experience and from experience of the people I work with that this is rather impossible. The thing is that we like to think ourselves that we are not a human, but we are. And when we act like we don't have those emotions, they get suppressed, and very often they do come up, but they come up in the ways of that are surprising for us. They're come up in the other way. So someone is very, you know, calm. Yeah, rebound effect. Yeah, like so you're very calm in your work, and then you are like really angry at home, or you go into some somatic things, like you're, you know, you have a stomach ache or headache or whatever, or you suppress very successfully for a long time, and then suddenly something breaks and you get a burnout. And believe me, this is not fun. And usually people that feel very calm, I don't want to trigger you guys, but if you have this like feel of like I'm, you know, I'm not feeling stuff, maybe this is a time to actually start to learn and address it, because just unpack it, because otherwise, and address it, because otherwise, you know, it might actually explode and it might go to some, I can tell you, the most dangerous people from themselves and for another people, other people, are the people who thinks they are not feeling anything, because this means they are just not aware, they will not address, they will not take responsibility, and sooner or later they will suffer consequences, right? Okay, so let's go back to fear. So I'm going to teach you some ways to deal with fear. And there are so many amazing traders, and I don't consider myself a trader, so I will not tell you how to trade, but I'm going to tell you how to uh, kind of stop yourself from doing stupid stuff when you are in this animalistic tunnel vision, when you think you're going to be eaten by a tiger, which is useful because sometimes, you know, there are this situation when you need to act very quickly, but not in trading, right? So I'm going to start with that. So now I'm going to need your involvement, and I'm so happy you're actually talking in the chat. I love it. So when you have this fear sensation, how do you recognize that? I can tell you about me. Usually at the beginning, I'm very calm. Like my reaction is absolutely not um panicky. I'm very calm. I'm very focused. I would say like I have like this laser vision because I suppress. And then later on it comes on me that I feel, you know, tense, and I can feel it in my neck, and then I can feel it in my stomach, and I'm like, what's wrong? Something is wrong. And then I'm realizing that I'm fearful, and then I see, when I'm more aware, that I'm actually having really quick pacing thoughts, and I'm having those I don't know how to say this, but like overthink, like analysis paralysis. So this is how I notice this, which is tricky one. How do you, yeah, very negative perceptions, yeah, like heartbeat, sweat, so everything that you could connect with running away or like this sort of fight. um Most of involve, we are going to talk about social media. You're right about um the social media and how it influenced that. Do you have any other, like, how do you feel that? So like sweaty kind of feeling, heart, like very quick pace thoughts. mm, don't feeling anything is also how you can recognize it. So you are like sort of shut down and you're like, I don't know, it's a freeze response. Yeah, very, very. So the first thing would be, and it can be very tricky because people would say like person who is scared should, I don't know, scream and run. That's not true. A lot of people who are scared would be actually people who are, frozen or absolutely focused. Like you have no idea how often people who are um extremely powerful, they are scared as fuck. And like we can, if we have some, and I know we have some awesome traders here, we're going to ask them later on how they dealt with fear when it was more intense, or it's still intense, I don't know.
I have
Okay.
an interesting way I dealt with fear, if anyone wants to hear it.
Yeah, please, please.
So
Please.
when it comes to futures trading, I think for the most part, like you're using charts, right? And if you're using charts, you're using some sort of strategy behind those charts. And one thing that always worked for me was building different pine scripts around different strategies I had. If you're each and every time basing your trade on what you're seeing on a chart and what you have in your head, you're kind of bound to fall into fear. Like this is a fearful market, and some people are able to just like suppress emotions and other people aren't. I've always been like a very emotional person myself, and forcing myself to get out of that has always been a bit of a battle. So one thing I did was find multiple strategies that work for me, build them into a Pine script, do a ton of back testing, and more and more and more and more back testing until I really feel confident. I mean, emotions can trick you, numbers on a screen can't really. And if you're live testing a strategy and it's working well, like, you kind of have to believe it. And over time, I built strategies that I knew for an actual fact had a 70% chance of winning, right? And so there's certain times where, if you go on social media and the whole world is freaking out about the market, it's almost impossible to not let that affect you, right? Like, it's a kind of community driven space. But if you have something that you've built and have the actual numbers on the board, you can really detach your trading from your emotions and follow that. So, for example, I've built probably 60 plus different scripts over the years, and landed on one recently that I really trust. And I've built a lot into it that was all just from my personal trading strategy. And so if I might be bearish on any given day, I might be worried about the market, scared of a possible liquidation, whatever else. But if that indicator is pinging, I just force it out. And whatever emotions I have that may go into that trade, I just throw them out the window and trust what I've built. And PineScript is the easiest language to learn in terms of coding. And if you don't feel like learning coding, you can always just hire someone on Fiverr to help put whatever you have in your mind onto that into that script. So I definitely suggest that for anyone. That has been the best case of working on emotions and trading. I just wanted to share that.
Very awesome. Thank you for that. So what I hear from you is that you recognize that this market is like this, that it influences in you in this way, and I appreciate how you are aware of that. You are emotional person, which I think is beautiful. I'm emotional myself, and I'm so tired of this like emotionless traders. Like, what's with that? And you actually put your decision making on engine that is actually not that emotional, so you can feel calmer with that. This is very smart. This is amazing. Thank you for this. This is
Yeah,
lovely.
scripts don't have emotion. I think in a perfect world, if we would all act like bots when we're looking at the screen, it would save us a ton of losses.
Yeah,
But it's obviously quite difficult.
yeah. But what's I think it's very interesting in those Psychology Thursday, which I start to appreciate more and more, is that we can talk about stuff that can be automated, but we also can learn about just some areas of our emotional life that can manifest themselves in other places that cannot be that much automated, like work, love life, or relationship to food or whatever. So that's also, it's also interesting. Look at this, how beautiful it is that you have actual areas when you can automate something. And by the way, about automation, you like to do that what you did, you need to go through the process anyway. So this is lovely. Thank you so much for that. So at the beginning, like let's go back to the idea of what you can have, what you can do with this fear of yours. Like first thing would be basically awareness, right? So you realize how do you feel your feel. And thank you guys for just showing us how vast of a ways of fearing feel it is. Like, I feel numb, I feel activated, I want to fight, I want to revenge trade, or I want to like understand it all. Like this, I have it a bit like I will just dig into and understand. So you notice your own personal reaction. You are like, okay, I know this one, right? So you are aware of this. Then you need to accept that you are fearful, because otherwise you are getting in tricky zone of trying to like reject your humanity. Like, we could always, like, we could sometimes use it, but it's hard to do when you're a human. So you need to accept that this is fearful. It's also good to have this sort of, well, it depends. If you are prone to dissociation, maybe this is not something that you should make stronger. But if you are more into like being involved, then you can, this like eagle eye view of like, oh my god, okay, so what do I do, like what happened? And then you very often you can realize that, for example, you are not consuming as much information about crypto market daily, uh, as you do lately, because the market is dumping. So you suddenly realize that last days of yours were full of panicky people. It was full of those YouTubers who are just like posting for views that, Bitcoin will go to zero. And you realize that you are talking to other people. And this is also scientifically proven that we are social creatures. So if people are fearful, if your friends are fearful, you are getting fearful as well. So with this bird's eye view, you can say, okay, that's a lot. And then what can you do? It's something that I'm like in this Psychology Thursday, I will all over invite you to do, which is like experimentation. And what does it mean? And CY just gave us the great idea for that. Like, he experimented with just like giving it for the algorithm, right? But you can also experiment it other way. Like, do you have any ideas how else could you react, like when you think of yourself being like in your fear zone? Like, for example, when you are sucking in and like blocking everything and suppressing and being by yourself, you could experiment with talking to someone, right? Or if you are like, oh my god, guys, like everything is dumping, and you have friends who are the same, and they're like, yeah, it's dumping, and then you are all like going bananas, you can actually like pause and just seek some ways of regulate yourself. And it will also work not just in trading, but if you are managing big company, if you are managing in Volio chat, doesn't matter, like if you have sometimes like this overwhelming moment, like experimentation with doing something else that you usually do is very interesting starting point for learning something. Okay, you are writing, so I want to like, yeah, you are talking about the indicators. This is very cool that we can share this as well. And this is also, by the way, I don't know how you feel, guys, about this, but this is also something that works. We can now appreciate this as well. So you can find a group of people who are dealing with fear differently than you deal with fear, which is also interesting thing for your neuroplasticity and for how your brain will actually hopefully rewire, and you will get more choices. Okay, and this is the moment when I'm going to have my definition of health for you. And please remember that, take it to your heart. So the health is not like being always calm or be always joyful. It's about being elastic, right? So you can feel all the emotions because all of them are useful, but you don't have to be stuck. Well, not even emotions. You can act in all of the ways you want. So you can either eat, fight and flight and stay calm, and you can do all of the things, and you are not stuck with one way of coping, like, right? Because if you are always stuck with the fight, you are becoming drained by this. If you always stuck with like being frozen, the same thing. If you are scared of being alone and you are always like taking care by everybody, then it's also a problem. So the idea is to be able to do different things and be able to have choices, right? So if you are aware, if you accept, you can start to experiment, and experimentation is amazing actually. So how is it useful, by the way? Tell me, guys, on the chat if it's useful for you, because at the end of the day, it's not me talking to myself, but like trying to provide something. So let me know if this is something that you are actually you can use, and then I'm going to show like give you some some ways I proposed for dealing with overwhelming feelings. Um yeah, okay, we're talking about the indicator. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going, just let me know because it's important for me to have your feedback, but I'm going to just continue with this. So the thing about being overwhelmed about someone is saying that you want to learn more about exposure and variations in training. I don't know. I'm not sure what do you mean. By the way,
Exposure
if you
to
want to have
fear.
a like, will you
Bonita,
ah
he said, I want to learn more
like the
about
conversation therapy.
exposure to fear.
Okay, yeah. Well, so the thing is that I'm not a huge fan, like I myself not a huge fan of exposure therapy as a matter of well, let's say I understand, but I'm more about widening the window of tolerance, which I don't want to get too much into that right now because we will not have time. It would be digressive, is that digressing? But um yeah, to actually be more elastic, we need to have some sort of exposure for the things that we are usually avoiding. That's true, but very often it's understood as like this, like getting out from your comfort zone, and this usually doesn't work because the fact is that your comfort zone is there for a reason, and usually like you feel discomfort for a reason also as well. And if you got yourself probably very uncomfortable somewhere in life and you got some sort of mechanism to deal with that, getting more comfortable will just strengthen this mechanism, and it will not make any difference. It will just like be the same. So the idea is that you will just like like let's say when you are tense, when you are scared, you will just get more tense, and then you will just be tense, and then the danger is over and you are like, you are staying tense probably, but like, after a while you get a bit less, but then the tension is there still because you are like expecting something bad to happen. So my idea is more to widen the window of tolerance, which means be actually self-responsible person, like really responsible, meaning you are going as much as you are still comfortable to handle, and then you do some sort of exercise and experiment to just ease it out until it's getting comfortable, and then you make another step, and then you are doing the same, and then you are making another step, because this way, this is like in trading actually, this slow process, and it gets you far away. If you jump and jump back, jump and jump back, it doesn't work. Like it's, I mean, it's epic, okay? And you can tell yourself I did it, and everybody will say how awesome and like hardcore you are, but it doesn't work. It usually gets repressed later on, or you just having some extra troubles on the top of everything that you had. So if exposure means like widening the window of tolerance, this is great. And now this is the moment when I'm telling you what you can actually do. So this experimentation would be doing something different, and I'm going to give you some ideas for what can you actually do different. So first thing, and I would really I'd really recommend this, would be to find a community to talk about it. Because look at this, when you are, usually the fear is very lonely kind of feeling. It may come from like scrolling the chats, but if everybody are panicky, it's like it's still, you feel lonely. So it's not a bad idea to find a community like this one, for example, to actually talk about it. And you need to like, okay, you need to curate this, okay? Like, let's say if you have your gurus that are saying, oh, you are shit if you're losing money, I mean, like, you're stupid, blah blah, this is just like mocking, like they are just I don't know what they're doing, but this is like some sort of like fuck them. Okay, but if you have people that are calming, not telling you what you want to hear, but just sort of calming presence, and you feel that they are rational and they are posting something like this, you can follow and unfollow. This is we can start with, but what we can also have interactive community, like we can have places like we are going to have, when you can actually, you know, I'm going to open those chats for you. So you can say, hey, man, I'm like panicking. Yeah, I'm also panicking. And then you can try to even talk it through. And if you're aware enough, you might talk it through in a way that it's not going to make everything bigger, right? So the community is not a bad idea because then you kind of process together. And it works really brilliantly. Like being like community is really not appreciated enough, especially to nowadays. Another thing is that would be like locally, of course, long term, you can have a strategy like coding and algorithms and everything. But locally, you will feel overwhelmed. Okay, guys, I'm so sorry, but you're going to fear one day for about anything. So what the another thing is, what you can do is usually you will not be that mm, happy to stay in your body, okay? You will be trying to distract yourself or trying to act like you will do anything except staying in your body awareness, okay? And I would actually encourage you to slowly, window of tolerance, okay, slowly learn to do that. What does it mean? Propose yourself something that it actually relax you. Of course, I can tell you breathing exercises and like whatever, like gym and blah blah. And of course, this is awesome. And but it doesn't have to look that Instagrammy, okay? You can also have this sort of the things that you actually enjoy, like have some sort of the things to do with your hands, like you can cook or you can do whatever. I know that it sounds very random when market is dumping and you're like, okay, I'm going to cook carbonara, but the fact is that it like doing something active while staying like that helps you with cooking's fun though, yeah, like that helps you to have but by the way, cooking can give you control back. I know that it sounds really bizarre, but like find your own trick, okay? But for example, when I'm like feeling I'm losing control of everything, actually doing something from scratch that I have a tangible effect, it kind of reframes this for me. Believe me, every decision you make when you are in rush is bad, usually. And this is something I can tell you and just take it for life. If you feel in rush, it means you are in sort of activation. And unless the place is burning and you need to actually run away from your house because it's on fire, usually those ideas will be so. So it's best to just calm down and then redo the decision making again, because usually the possible loss in trading, or I don't know, in your relationship, that you will have by taking some time comparing to making really stupid decisions that are just on impulse, it's not worth it. Really, it's not worth it. Usually you can take some minutes. At least, like, by the way, I don't want to lie to you. I don't remember how how long it takes for your brain to calm down from this super activity, but I think it's like 1 hour or something like this. So if you wait 1 hour, you usually have different thinking, unless you go over this again, but I'm talking about 1 hour of actually conscious calming down. Someone said I feel depression on daily basis due to school. Yeah, well, I think that depression is a thing, so this is also something that if you're really struggling, this is not a bad idea to seek help, especially that depression might be very accurate response to environments. Like some environments are just hard and tough, and having this sort of response might be you know adequate. Doesn't mean that it have to last forever, or does it mean that your approach to the same thing, like when it comes to school, cannot change? It can change, but to change it, you need to actually address it somehow. So i will I will encourage you to don't stay in suffering if you don't have to, because you can somehow rewire and rethink and approach differently and experiment, like we are saying about fear. Yeah, exactly. How important it is to step back and take a break after big loss. Okay, one more thing at the end. The taking a break and stepping back is actually very important, and it's also important after a big win, because our mind needs the beginning, the middle thing, and the end, and everything is like this. Look at that. When I'm like feeling thirsty, I feel thirsty, then I'm taking a sip, and now I'm done and I'm happy with this, okay? And the same goes for this call. And we like those, and just focus on this, guys, and imagine how brilliant it is. We need this sort of like closed processes. Like, we like this. And probably a lot of you had a situation when something was not finished. Like conversation, the relationship, or you have unfinished project, and everybody have unfinished project. You know how annoying it is in our mind, right? So it's very important, as much as starting the project and doing the project, is to finishing the project. And the thing with trading, and I think it's a really nightmarish feature of trading, is that when you finish the thing, there is already new thing going on. And you have a lot of ideas how to like actually start something when you finish something else. And it means that you're I'm not sure about you, but for me, it's very hard to realize that I finished. So it's very important to just have a okay, so this process is done, and let yourself actually realize that this process is done. If you are a person who are having like entrepreneur and having a company, or and you are doing a TED talk or whatever, or this is a small thing like you finish cleaning your room, like let yourself finish, let yourself to just sink in the idea that something is finished, and you like pat yourself on the head like nice job, nice. And this is very important either way, after a loss and either way after a win, doesn't matter, you need to finish stuff. And it's very hard, especially with our social media now, that is endless scrolling. You see how um, addictive it is. And the same goes for games. I'm thinking that these are cool things. I'm not saying that this is bad things, but I just want to be you to be more aware that look at how hard it is to finish. And the reason is because it's not finished, right? Because finishing it will be like in your mind that there could be something else. So just, especially in this world and especially in trading, like you really need to like need to learn how to make yourself feel that something is done. Okay, and this process is done. Like when I'm having art classes with teenagers, I very often advise them to publish or to just like send it to someone if they do something, because this makes this idea of like my project is finished. Okay, this is like it's done. Okay, so this is important. Okay, so do you have any questions, or was it like very hard? Don't mention art. Oh, come on. I love art. I love it. I'm into art therapy, and I'm filmmaker as well, and I love it. Sorry, I'm going to mention art. Yeah, well, so if you have any other thoughts or anything, I really encourage you to keep talking. But if you have anything else I can provide for you, please let me know. And otherwise, we will just wrap up because we have 1 hour, and I was just so focused to make it short because I always make everything so long. Yeah, I think answer your questions. Where do you do your training? There's Gestalt. Well, it depends which one. There's I finished film school in Lodz in Warsaw, in Lodz in Poland, and Warsaw Gestalt school. So here I'm in this Gestalt school right now, and I'm making a lot of courses, like extra courses in all over the place. So yeah, I'm from Poland. Yes. So I did a lot of different stuff. Um, you knew it because of the accent, or yeah. You are you? Yeah, you are so good in guessing where people are from. Good job. Nice. Oh, Bober Kurvacze. Oh, of course, yeah. This is so
Except from
funny. And
Austria, I
John
would
Paul.
say. He's good in guessing,
Yeah, and
except
yeah,
guessing Austria, right?
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm by the way, Rodzina z Polski. Oh, this is cool. By the way, I'm very, very happy you were so active. This is really important for me that you were just so involved, because this is something that I think we need as a trader community, just to have those conversations. Because by the way, if you are going to everybody and saying what's going to do with the market, what do I do, what do I do, this is usually also a fear response, right? So like being aware of the fear and dealing with this, and also like everybody are fearful. Wait a minute, like what does it tell me about the market? And then is it about the market or is it about me? Okay, because if I'm a fearful, it doesn't have to be a fearful day and I'm fearful. But if I'm not usually fearful and now I'm fearful, whoa, so your fear might be actually your ally when you get to know it. And this is what I would really want to you to take from it. And remember, like, this is an awareness thing, like acceptance and experimentation. Do something different and see how it works, and don't push yourself too hard, just like gentle kind of moving towards something new. And then you are, I wouldn't say you are good, because I don't know how it's going to be, but I think you have good chance of being good. So yeah, so thank you for that, and I hope we see each other next time. We're going to talk about, either we can talk about something joyful, or about greed, or about money. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We have a lot of ideas. And thank you, BNA, for organizing this. This is so cool.
Of course, of course. You're very welcome. We can also create a poll for the next topic, next Thursday.
Oh, perfect. Yes, if you have
Oh yeah.
any ideas, I'm really happy to we by the way, I'm pretty punk. So if you have ideas that are not connected to trading and you don't have any other areas when you can actually, have a conversation about something like, hobbies or like anything, or how do you deal with relationships when you are a trader and you are all the time on the charts. I'm really happy. We can do all sorts of things. Let's just create it together, and I really enjoyed talking to you guys today.
And if you have a lot of questions, I mean, really a lot of questions, we can also host a psychology Q&A with Bonita, if it's okay for you, and then everybody can ask.
Yeah, we
Only for
can do that.
questions.
Yeah. This was very, very, very nice to have you here. And do something good for yourself today. Like, like you could close some process today, whatever that was. Just like make yourself like, yeah, this little, cocoa cup is for me to close this, like, me beating myself up for something. Just like give yourself this little kind of ritual today, or just talk to someone if you're a person who is not talking that much with people, and just experiment and let me know. By the way, we have our chats. So if you want to help me to have the conversations there, so I'm not there talking to myself, but you're just like starting some and telling about your experiences, I'd love to hear that. Okay. So good night, everybody.
Thank you
Bye
so
bye.
much, Bonita. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye bye, guys.
Bye
Have
bye,
a nice
guys.
one.